Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Compound Interesting. In today's video, we're having a look at some of my favorite spec stocks that I'm invested in all of these spec stocks, but that does not mean that you should also invest in these spec stocks because spec stocks are speculative. So definitely not something you want to put your whole life savings in, because typically spec stocks, you're kind of buying into a dream, you're kind of buying into a vision. They're not really companies that already have a working business model and are making a lot of revenue right now, but will potentially make a lot of revenue in the future. So that's the way I kind of like to invest. I like to take a lot of swings at some enormously high potential stocks. So I like to go for either some speculative stocks as well as really high growth stocks with enormous potential, but that might be a little bit ahead of the game than a spec stock. So typically, obviously, a spec stock is very risky and usually has a small market cap, but there are some spec stocks like, for example, Nikola, which has an enormous market cap, but fuck all to back up that market cap. Anyway, as I was saying, I like to take a lot of hits at these enormous potential stocks because you only need one 100x stock or one 1000x stock or 50x stock to change your life. I wouldn't put my whole eggs into one of these speculative stocks, and I don't really like to put all my money into just boring, like stable companies either. I'm trying to get those asymmetric returns. So I'm always looking for stocks that have asymmetric risk return ratios. So for example, if you bought into 10 high growth, high potential stocks, and if 9 of those companies, just the stock price stay the same over the next 2 years, but one of them 10x'd, you've doubled your money. So that's pretty good. Now let's say all of them go bankrupt, 9 of them go bankrupt, and one of them 100x's, then you've 10x your money. So that's why I suggest if you're going to be a speculative investor, or a high growth investor like myself, you really need to put in the hours in researching all these companies so you can find at least one that's going to do really, really well. Because that's really, really important. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of money. And at the same time, you need to research a lot of stocks because you need to spread your eggs into a few different baskets, because even if you research one company and you're really, really certain about it, there's such a high risk with doing that with speculative stocks. Putting all your eggs into a speculative stock, so risky because it could go wrong no matter how much research you put into it. Alright, so with all that said, I just ask that you quickly like the video, get the small channel off the ground, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell, so because I'm a small channel it won't appear in your newsfeed. So get the notifications when I bring out a new video, if you like my videos anyway. With all that said, let's get cracking and bring you these stocks that are going to take you to the moon. Alright, insert dad joke about going to the moon, and the first stock being Virgin Galactic, which won't take you to the moon. It'll take you just outside the Earth's atmosphere and you'll feel some weightlessness, and it's only going to cost you $250,000 for a ticket. But yeah, the first stock on today's menu is Virgin Galactic stock. So as I said, $250k to get a ticket onto one of these bad boys, brings you out of Earth's gravitational field. You get to see the Earth from space, absolutely beautiful, and you get to experience weightlessness, and you train up to be an astronaut over a few days. Now I think every single boy has a wet dream about becoming an astronaut someday, and probably girls as well. God, that seems a bit weird. But yeah, I think everyone dreams at one stage to become an astronaut, and Virgin Galactic in the future will have a monopoly on this dream. They're the only company who, at the moment, are publicly traded, and the only company that will be offering this in the near or even medium term future, where bringing just commercial, everyday people who are extremely wealthy up to space, or offering those services. So I did a video on this company already, and I came to a total addressable market for this service of bringing people into low orbital space. I got a total addressable market figure of $12.5 billion, and the current market cap of the company is about $2 billion. So that would be like that's a 6x of their market cap, their total addressable market. But so basically, to come to that figure, I said that there's 50 million millionaires in the world, and I said 1 in 1,000 of those millionaires will want to go to space, and that's where I got the 250k multiplied by that figure, and that's where I got the 12.5 billion. Now obviously they're not going to go every year, so that's 12.5 billion, a once off revenue source for Virgin Galactic. So I wasn't that amazed when I found that figure. Like, that's still a lot of money, but, and that's obviously just a very, very back of the napkin calculation that you shouldn't take any weight from that calculation. But that was just my back of the napkin calculation. But that's not going to really 100x this stock price or really make this one of the biggest companies in the world. However, researching this company further, I've found some more information about it, and what the real kicker and what makes this a speculative stock is the other opportunities that they have, particularly with hypersonic flights. Basically, what this boils down to and what the revenue opportunity for Virgin Galactic is with the hypersonic flights is that at the moment, if you want to fly privately, if you want to fly from, I don't know, one side of America to the other side of America, flying privately is going to save you a couple of hours each side in the airport, because you can just go, you don't have to check in and all that bollocks. So it saves you a couple of hours. But the thing is, for long haul flights, if you fly privately, you can't, those small airplanes don't fly as fast as commercial big jets. So flying privately doesn't really make sense if I wanted to go from New York to Singapore, because it would take much longer than a commercial flight. But with hypersonic flights, you could get from one side of the earth to the other side of the earth in like 3 or 4 hours, which would obviously be insane. Now, considering people pay like 20 grand for like a 3-hour private flight from one side of the United States to the other side of the United States, ARK Invest came up with this figure for the amount of revenue opportunity that Virgin Galactic could generate from offering long distance flights. So you can see for the total number of passengers that flew in 2018, 4.5 billion people, 680 million were longer than 7 hours, which would make sense. The longer than 7 hours is where it would make sense to use hypersonic flights over private planes. So that's a 2.7 million person annual hypersonic addressable market. So they're saying in this slide, they're saying that 2 hours saved, like flying privately, people pay 15 grand for that 2 hours. However, with hypersonic flight, how much are you going to save? How much are you going to pay to save 13 hours? They're saying you'd pay 100 grand to get from one side of the earth to the other side of the earth. Now, I don't think this is really realistic. But this figure ends up at a total addressable market of $250 billion. Now, I do think this is a little bit far-fetched, this $250 billion number annual revenue opportunity, considering I don't think people will pay 100 grand to get from one side of the earth to the other in whatever 3 or 4 hours. However, if it takes 20 grand to fly privately, I could definitely see people paying like 50 or 60,000. Now, ARK Invest are always a little bit extravagant with their price predictions or their estimates of the future. This is always kind of the best case scenario. So just adding a little bit of conservatism to these estimates, let's say this is a $100 billion revenue opportunity, saying that people would pay 50k to get from one side of the earth to the other in 3 hours, like super rich people would pay that. So let's say a $100 billion opportunity. Now, if we put that against Virgin Galactic's current market cap of 1.5 billion or 2 billion or whatever it is, that's like at least a 50x if you were going to get a price to sales ratio of 1. And with a company like Virgin Galactic, you probably have a price to sales ratio of like 4 or 5 or 6 or even 10. So yeah, even with this speculative side of the business, let alone their main mission at the moment of taking people up to space as space tourists, just the hypersonic flight section could 100x this company. Alright, so the next spec stock on the menu today, the main course, and the dessert is the best, so stick around for the dessert. But the main course today is Helion. So this is another hype stock on YouTube at the moment, but I researched into this company a lot, and I think the potential is pretty interesting, but it's more of a midterm, whereas Virgin Galactic is like a 10-year, around a 10-year play for me. Hyllion, or whatever how it's pronounced, is probably like a 2 to 3 year play, so more of a medium-term investment for me. But with Hyllion, I'm just trying to 2 to 5x, maybe potentially 10x my money. But with the other couple of stocks, I'm looking for 100x. Hyllion should be making revenue in the next couple of years, so that's why it's more of a short-term play. But essentially what it does, and I already bashed on Nikola in this video, but essentially what it does is it's going to be providing powertrains for Class 8 trucks. So for trucking vehicles, like big fucking trucks that carry cargo around or whatever, Hyllion have built powertrains that you can take existing trucks that use diesel or petrol or whatever, put in Hyllion's powertrain, which is electric and CNG powered, which is carbon negative. So your trucks can be switched from diesel to CNG powered without you having to buy an entire new truck, because this diesel truck, like, that probably costs you a few €100,000 or dollars or whatever. So you don't want to just throw it out and buy a new, brand new spanking electric truck as everyone starts to make that transition. So Hyllion's great for this transitionary period from diesel into electric. And so transportation is the number one polluter in the world. And what CNG does, there's already hundreds of CNG stations, fueling stations in America already, and they're basically using like farm waste, like the methane from that, to power the trucks. And this technology is already there. So Helion are just making the powertrains to power the new trucks, and in the future they're going to also offer their own proprietary complete trucks that are way more efficient than even electric, and obviously Nikola's hydrogen powered. And CNG is carbon negative because it's taking out methane and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere that would have been just put up in the atmosphere, and it's actually using that to power these trucks. So it's carbon negative, whereas electricity and diesel obviously is carbon positive, so it's actually producing more carbon than it's taking in. So we can see it from these slides. The cost of ownership of a hybrid electric Hyllion on the left compared to a diesel is a little bit cheaper than just having the diesel. So the 7-year total cost of ownership, having the hybrid electric Hyllion version is a little bit cheaper over 7 years. But in the future, it's the even more interesting thing is the hybrid truck ERX. So that's their own proprietary truck that's completely made by them. And that's going to be way cheaper over 7 years than both the hydrogen Nikola version and Tesla Semi. And on this slide you can see the number of CNG stations that are already made. In America is 729, and in other countries and continents it's like thousands. So for example, Tesla and Nikola have to build out all these electric charging stations and hydrogen charging stations, which is going to cost billions and billions and billions. But Hyllion don't have to do this, and we can see that or CNG, the cost is so much cheaper than both electricity now and in the future, as well as hydrogen now and in the future. So as I said, I'm just kind of looking at this as a more medium term play over the next 2 to 3 years. And I think once the ERX comes out, then I'll update whether I want to buy or if I want to continue holding this stock or sell it. Then we'll see how popular their proprietary truck is. And there's some last slides of comparing the ERX truck compared to Nikola and Tesla from a few different metrics. Alright, so we saved the best for last, and this is a company that kind of went a bit crazy for. I released a video about this recently, and yeah, I got really hyped when I researched this company. So if you've been following me at all, you might already have guessed it, but the stock is Crispr. So if you don't know what Crispr is, or maybe you've heard of it on the Joe Rogan podcast, or you've heard of designer babies, but yeah, basically what CRISPR does is edit the code of life. So it can actually edit your DNA and potentially cure all diseases in the world. So that's one of the reasons I really love this company. The potential for good to the human race is absolutely astronomical, in the fact that they might be able to cure all genetic diseases in the future. And the thing is, they're not just like treating the symptoms of the disease like most of our medicine is today. It's just treating the symptoms. They actually want to go in, edit your genes while you're still a child or a baby in the womb, edit your genes and completely eradicate the disease, so completely cure it. So it's extremely revolutionary, breaking science, and very interesting. So again, I got a lot of these figures from ARK Invest, so I'll link all the resources to these articles and white papers in the description, but maybe take some of these estimates with a grain of salt, because ARK Invest, like so far they've been right with Tesla anyway, but just because they've been right with Tesla, the revenue opportunities there so far, it doesn't mean that they're going to be right about everything, and they always have very high expectations of the companies that they dig into. But then again, they're they're always backed up with extreme research, and all these things are definitely more than possible, but may not be the most probable outcome. But at the moment, CRISPR is on the cusp of being allowed to genetically engineer babies to not have monogenetic diseases and humans. So they're doing trials on humans to cure sickle cell disease, which is a problem in the shape of your blood, which causes you to get a lot of blood clots and requires you to have blood transfusions every few months. And yeah, not a nice disease at all. But with CRISPR, they've done some trials, and those trials are looking really, really good. That's why the stock price has jumped recently. But yeah, at the moment they're solving monogenetic diseases. So it's just a problem with one gene, monogenetic. And that monogenetic disease opportunity, according to ARK Invest, is a $75 billion annual opportunity. So for monogenetic diseases, and a once-off total addressable market of $1.9 trillion of everyone who has a monogenetic disease right now and who wants to be cured. That's CRISPR's estimates of the addressable market. It's already much bigger than the total addressable market for the other two, compared to the other two companies. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Hylion's total addressable market cap is 800 billion of new trucks bought every single year. So a $1.5 trillion market cap. Wow, that's pretty cool, right? Yeah, that's cool, but that's only 2% of the total addressable market, I'm afraid, because polygenetic diseases make up 98% of all diseases, all genetic diseases. So the monogenetic diseases is 1.5 trillion. The other 98% are polygenetic diseases. So basically a problem with more than one gene in your body or whatever. So obviously so this is an absolutely crazy total addressable market. So that's why I was so shocked when I saw this. So that's why I was so shocked when I was researching this company. It kind of absolutely blew my mind, the addressable market. But yeah, they have all that, but they also have the possibility to be able to edit agricultural genes, so they're more weather resistant to droughts or snow or whatever. So not only will they be able to cure diseases in the future, hopefully, but they'll also be able to manage our food supply, because by the year 2050 we're going to be needing 75% more calories because of all the new humans and the larger consumption of all these humans. And with current farming practices, we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to provide food for everyone. But with CRISPR, we probably will be, according to ARK Invest anyway. So we're leaving human suffering and we're leaving human hunger, which is obviously fantastic. And both of these have absolutely mind-blowing addressable markets. So the thing is though, CRISPR isn't the only company working on CRISPR technologies. There's a few of them. However, this is such an enormous pie that, yeah, if CRISPR can pull this off, which hopefully they can, this stock could be an absolute home run and absolutely a life-changing stock. And to be honest, I really don't understand why more people aren't talking about this stock on YouTube or anywhere online. I don't know why this isn't such a hype stock. And let's not even get into like 20 years down the line when people want designer babies. They want a baby who's tall. I wouldn't mind if I got if my mom edited me to be a bit taller. But anyway, so the agricultural total addressable market opportunity is in the many hundreds of billions. I think it was like $600 billion opportunity there. And so we have all that 1.5 trillion, trillions and trillions of dollars in market opportunity. And I didn't even mention CRISPR babies, genetic babies that CRISPR has been kind of given this notorious reputation for. But yeah, that's an enormous, like maybe in 20 years time, that'll be the total norm. Like for my mom wants to have the genetic baby who's really strong, who's big, handsome, tall, and has a huge, massive, pulsing heart. But that could potentially be an enormous opportunity as well. So that's why for me, CRISPR is my favorite spec stock, and that's the one I've put the most money in. But yeah, you need to research it yourself. Don't trust me. I'm just a fucking 24-year-old, clueless 24-year-old. So yeah, CRISPR, I'm really looking at a very, very long time horizon, and I probably won't. It's kind of, for me, it's like buying Apple stock in the 1980s where Apple stock has 1000x since the 1980s to now. So that's why I look at Crispr. Hopefully in 40 years time, the €1,000 I've put into it, or will have put into it, will be $1 million by the time I'm retiring. So that's what I'm going for with this stock, because I think the opportunity is absolutely astronomical. All right, so that wraps up these spec stocks. So let me know if you're interested in buying any of these spec stocks in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd hugely appreciate it if you could smash the thumbs up button, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so you can keep up to date with my crap jokes and probably even worse stock picks. But anyway, I really hope you got some value out of the video and you enjoyed it, and hopefully opened your eyes up to some new potential spec stocks for you to research. And fucking research the companies, don't just fucking buy them. Actually go onto the investor relations page, look into the companies, and work for yourself. You actually use your fucking brain. Don't just go and buy these stocks because I said so. And use ARK Invest research material. Just go ARK Invest and look at their research and white papers. They're really helpful to open your mind up to these companies. I don't think Hylion's on ARK Invest, unfortunately though, but the other two are. But anyway, that wraps up today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.